What I like to start with is turn to the person next to you and just describe in 3 words, how would you describe your mind? So if you were to describe your mind in 3 words, what words would you use? Okay?
Analytical.
Analytical, okay.
Restless.
Restless, okay. Yeah, anyone?
Creative.
Creative.
Emotional.
Emotional, okay.
Structured chaos.
Chaos.
Structured.
Structured chaos, okay. Good.
Busy.
Yeah.
Busy. It's interesting how we actually describe the mind, and everyone's mind has different things going on. And most of these words that you mention are sort of for some sort of, the mind has personality, you know. It's jumping, it's creative, it's, you know, all over the place sometimes it's organized, sometimes we have tabs. And how do we, you know, connect with the mind? How do we, how do we navigate the mind? What's some of the activities, what do you think are the most popular activities that people do to rest and relax? TV? Okay.
Movies.
Yeah. TV. What else?
Holidays.
Yeah.
TikTok.
Oh,
very nice doing intros.
Read. Workout.
Yeah.
Gym.
Yeah.
Gym.
Oh, yeah.
Sport.
Sports, yeah.
Reading.
People drink. To get to stop.
Yes.
To get to stop.
Yes.
Yeah. So you don't
Yeah.
Not just drink, but
To stop the mind.
Yeah, to like to turn it down.
Turn it down.
not just drink, but also drugs, intoxication.
You can
Yeah.
get into
They
different
did one of the
TV.
There's one missing on there. That's
Sex.
one of the top one. Huh?
Sex.
Sex.
Sleep.
Sleep. Sleep. Yeah, sleep.
Sleep.
So sleep,
Bath.
watching TV and going on holiday. These were the top 3 things. I'm sure these are all also equally becoming popular or popular. So in one sense, if you look at all of these things, they are an escape for a certain amount of time. But then you have to come back to reality. And what many people try and do is escape their mind, right? But actually, you know, we have to learn to sit with the mind and be with the mind. And this is a yogi here in India. He's doing a meditation. When we say the word meditation originates in Sanskrit. It's called dhyana. Now, dhyana has a rooted word in a lot of Eastern traditions. So Zen meditation also comes from the word dhyana, which is a Sanskrit word. And dhyana means to sit with, or to meditate, or to go within. So basically the idea is you're actually sitting with the mind, you're actually facing whatever it is you're facing in the mind, and you're detaching yourself from the mind. So many people trying to escape that reality, what's going on, but it's saying no, don't escape it, but engage it. Engage it and become detached from it. And this is the first principle. I'm going to share 3 with you. The first principle is to go within. So actually, if we can learn to actually just stay still and be present, and which is all what we're actually all looking for, in one sense, you know, to be conscious, to be present, for our mind to become, you know, something we use rather than is used by us. We have to just learn to start. The starting point is to go within. And the first thing Arjuna says is, it seems like what you're saying is impractical and undurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady, right? Then he goes on to say, I think it's more difficult to control the mind than it is to control the wind. Now, who here has struggled with their mind? Okay, pretty much everyone. If anyone hasn't, then yeah, please come and give the talk. But the point here is Arjuna was the best of the best, right? He was the principal warrior of his time. Literally the war was riding on him, okay? And even he was struggling with the mind. Even he was having depression and doubts, which basically shows us actually you're not alone. You know, the best of the best have problems with the mind. And it is a difficult thing to control. So that's something really important for us to understand. And many of us don't kind of realize, but we've had through our lives a lot of temptations and tribulations. Many things have happened in our life, but because we're not able to frame these things happening in our life, therefore our minds become disturbed, or we've stored it in some place or somewhere, and that's affected us. So having that wisdom and understanding to frame whatever's happening in our life can help us give us perspective. Now, this is some stats of mental health. So 1 in 5, and this is 1 in 5 people suffer from mental health or are suffering right now from a mental illness. So how do you train the mind? And this is why we want to make this, this is why when I look at this kind of wisdom, it's very powerful yet practical. How we can actually train the mind and live in a more conscious way. This is one of my favorite analogies from Eastern tradition. It's basically describing actually our body and our self is like a chariot, where you have the senses, which are like the horses, you have the reins, which is like the mind, and then you have the intelligence, your intelligence, which is driving and controlling your mind and senses. And at the back is your consciousness or your soul or whatever you want to call it. Now, what's interesting is this can go in 2 directions, okay? In one direction, it could be your senses and your mind are controlling how you react and respond, right? You're responding to your stimulus, you're responding to your senses, you're responding to your natural state of reacting to something, right? When your mind and your senses are in control. However, what we have to learn to do is actually be the person in control of your mind and your senses. So as your intelligence is controlled by your consciousness, and the more you're in this sphere of being in control, the more you can make decisions and act in a way that you want to act, not you're reacting, right? So this nicely depicts it. And the same thing, what you were saying as well, it's like, okay, am I going to let my emotions, am I going to let my mind take control and react to the situation? Or am I going to take a step back, see the bigger picture, and understand, okay, what is it that I want to do? What does success look like? That's actually the consciousness we want to end up thinking of. So here we're going to share, again, this also comes from the same book, The Power of the Mind. So it says actually the mind can be the best of friends or the worst enemy. Now it's really interesting because we can frame a situation positively or negatively. We can see somebody as good or bad, and that's just the mind framing that situation. I don't know if you guys have been ever like going on holiday, and you're really looking forward to going on that holiday. Like you're excited, you're looking forward to it, you've planned it for ages. Then you get to that holiday, and then all you can think about is what's going on at home and that thing that's bothering you, right? I don't know if you guys have experienced that. It's interesting that the mind can turn heaven into hell, but also hell into heaven. Controlling the mind. Now, the reality is, it's hard to control the mind. The mind is flickering. It's like that. It's hard to basically subdue the mind. But what we have to do is remold the mind. We have to train the mind. Like some of you mentioned, okay, yes, naturally I react like this, but I've trained my mind to be like this. And that's basically what we're doing, is we're remolding the mind. And there's 2 things, and this is our second principle. There's 2 things that we can understand. 1 is suitable practice, and 2 is detachment. And that can be summarized into feeding and fencing. Right? This is our second principle, feeding and fencing. So the analogy is given, an analogy I'd like to share with you, is the mind's like a baby, right? And as the baby needs protecting, right? It needs fencing. You need to protect it. So you have to protect it from negativity, from bad thoughts, from different situations which won't be good for the mind. So you have to fence the mind. You have to
provocative situations, which can provoke.
yeah, it could be anything. Provocative situations, negative energy, negative people, negative thoughts, thought patterns, you know? So we have to fence, we have to protect the mind from that. Simultaneously, we have to feed the mind with positive things. We have to feed the mind with things that are helpful and that's going to move it into your more conscious state. It could be reading something that helps the mind. It could be an atmosphere. It could be the people around you. And we'll unpack that a bit. But these are two important principles. What am I feeding the mind, and what am I protecting the mind from? You know, it's like the content you watch, right? Am I going to protect my mind from watching negative stuff? But what am I going to watch instead? You know, what am I going to, when you're in the car on the way here or in the tube, mostly come by tube, am I going to listen to a podcast, or am I going to delve into a conversation arguing with someone? You know, I don't know. So what do I want to feed? Same with those people around you. And I loved your internet browser analogy, that your mind's like an internet browser. Many of you feel like that, right? Your mind is open, has many different tabs. This is my favorite analogy of describing actually what the mind is like. So the mind is like an internet browser, right? You have your Google or Chrome or whatever. So that's actually the mind. Now, it's interesting actually, when we open up our Google or Chrome or Firefox or whatever, it almost understands what we want to do. Like you were talking about holiday, and then it comes up saying, hey, do you want to book your flights now? Like, hey, do you want to go to this restaurant now? Now, like with any browser, it doesn't really have we can control it, we can set it. And with every browser there's a home page, right? The thing that opens up. And same with us. We have our natural tendencies. We have when you wake up in the morning, you either see the glass half full or half empty, right? Your personality and your natural makeup has a natural way of reacting to things, right? And that's just your homepage, okay? You're innate with that. You have your favorites, right? The things you gravitate towards, the things you like, the things you want to do. And your favorites could be good or they could be bad, right? It could be either. Then you have history, okay? Think about it. You have your university, your teenage years, your childhood, all the impressions that you've had, all the relationships that you've had. Imagine your browser has everything stored in there somewhere in your mind. And then you have autocompletes, www.a, and then it will go to Amazon or suggest whatever it is. So you have your natural tendencies, your habits, the things that trigger you to be in a certain way and respond in a certain way. And this one, again, hard to control, but pop-ups, right? So randomly you'll just get a thought or an idea or you just don't know where it came from, but it came from somewhere. Now the interesting thing is, just like a web browser, can we change the homepage? Yes, we can change the homepage. We can reconfigure our natural way of responding to things, right? Just like favorites, can we reset our favorites? Can we look at which favorites are good for us and which ones are not good for us? Which habits are good for us and which habits are not good for us? History, can we delete the history? Right? Yes, you can add more positive impressions. You can try and remove the negative impressions. Can you reset the autocompletes? Can you reset your habits? Yes. And the pop-ups, I think you can block pop-ups now. So, and how do we do this? And it all stems from deleting and re-entering. You know, we have to delete and remove the stuff that's not good for us, and re-enter and repurpose the things that are conducive to us and help us. Now, here's just a quick ways of helping you reach that state, or what you can feed yourself. There's things like meditation, guided meditation, breath work we discussed, blocking yourself, like doing a digital detox. Someone mentioned TikTok here. Conscious habits, I don't know if you've read this book, Atomic Habits, but talks about how we can be more conscious and intentional with the habits that we have. Journaling, and I'm going to talk a bit about journaling in a second. And also body consciousness. I think some of you mentioned going for a run, going for a gym. Are we looking after our body? And again, go back to the yoga system. The body, breathing, the mind, these are all interlinked. And then it comes to the 5 a.m. So specifically talking about meditation. So they say the best time to do meditation is great, but the best time to do it is during the morning. I don't know if you've read that there's many famous CEOs and successful people. They wake up at 5 a.m. So I just thought to share 2 practical things. One is meditation early in the morning, and second is journaling. Does anyone journal here? Okay.
When I'm angry.
When you're angry.
Actually.
Okay. It's amazing that you do it. Here is a quote from a biography of a Catholic monk. Now, we're coming here to our third principle. Essentially, we have to shift our thoughts from negative to positive. And it's all about habits. And these are 6 habits that I think can help you sort of navigate, being conscious in the mind. The first one is hearing. And this is one of the most important ones. When you hear from the right source, when you hear that wisdom, when you're hearing that podcast, when you're hearing from the right people, you understand that knowledge and why it's important. So you're hearing this talk and you're hearing things that you may not have heard before, but without that knowledge, it's going to be hard for you to implement and practically apply. So it starts with hearing. The second is associate. So, who do you have around you? And there's studies, like you are, one of 5 people. Even like work-wise, if you're with people that are low performing, they drag you down, they drag the whole company down. And people that are high performing are, bring you up. But the same goes for conscious association. If you're around friends that are really negative, that are gossiping, that are moving you downwards. I mean, not saying gossiping is that everyone loves gossiping, but moving you in a way that, moving your consciousness down, then that's what you're going to become, and that's going to be your natural state. But if you're with people that are of a higher consciousness, positive mindset, encouraging, then you're going to get that. Blocking, like we discussed, blocking the bad habits, blocking the things that aren't good for you. And also then it comes down to importance, right? I can say meditation, I can say journaling, or you have the things that you also do for peace. You might go for running or whatever. Are you giving it importance? Are you making it so you prioritize it in your life? Like Anupam just mentioned, he prioritizes meditation in the morning over the emails because he knows that's important and that helps him through the day. So what are you going to prioritize? What importance do you give it? The last one for last is track. So with habits, it's really important to track your habits. I don't know if you have a habit tracker or if you've seen a habit tracker before. So once I was with a monk, and I went into his room. I was just fascinated, like what does he do? Like how do they live? And I went into his room, and then I was like, he was like ticking things off on this sheet, and I was like, what's this monk doing, ticking things off on the sheet, right? So I asked him, like, what's going on? Like, what are you doing? And he's like, yeah, I have this habit tracker. I basically tick, okay, I have to go for a walk every day. I need to meditate. I need to read. I need to do this. And he was a monk that's traveling a lot. And he says, when I travel a lot, things can easily slip up. So therefore, if I keep a habit tracker, if I notice twice there's not a tick, then I know I need to focus on that and prioritize it. So when we introspect and when we're knowing what we're doing, then it's a practical solution. And the last but not the least is service. If we have a mindset of service and we prioritize service, then life becomes much easier and your decisions become better. And I'll just summarize. The first principle was going within. So it starts with taking a step back, and instead of escaping the mind, with any of these things, we have to sit with the mind. We have to engage the mind. The second principle was feeding and fencing. So what are we giving, what are we going to feed the mind, what things do we take in, and what things do we block? And the third one was habits. So how can we practically conduce our life with this acronym? We love acronyms, by the way. So yeah, if you ever learn with us or study with us, we do that.
Hi, my name is Radhi, Acuity Knowledge Partners. So just finished the session with Rajiv Nanda. The session was very insightful. A lot of the concepts we have heard all over the place, so this was really good to put everything into perspective. Taking a lot back and the first time meditating, so is something that I will use. But yeah, thank you. Very good session.
Mia.
Mia, what do you like from today?
Thank you.
I mean, the entire session was great. Really, it puts things into perspective and kind of makes you think about things a little bit differently, just in terms of like day-to-day life, and even what we were talking about in terms of what you're waking up to and what you're going to sleep with. Just these little habits that you almost don't realise that you get into can really impact and affect your day-to-day mental well-being, and it's definitely something that I will, going forward, take more notice of and maybe try to break some of my more negative ones.